close friend of mine just gave me the book Game Change, a relatively new book about the 2008 presidential election. I highly recommend it to you. It's a fascinating read, and it really sort of takes you inside the whole amoeba of activity, beginning with the primaries and all of the candidates, from whence they come, even to post-election choices of the candidates' cabinets and whatnot. It's really a fascinating read. I love it because I love the whole political process. I wish we could elect a president every year. It's so much fun to experience that all of that energy and all of that movement. I just find invigorating. Now, there was a review of the book in The Atlantic that I really enjoyed. The last line reads like this: "Political scientists aren't going to like this book because it portrays politics as actively lived by the candidates, their staff, and the press, which is to say, a messy, sweaty, ugly, arduous competition between flawed human beings, a universe away from numbers and probabilities and theories." And that, my friends, is what I like about it so much. I think you truly get to see human beings unfold in the electoral process. But even more than that, I think in the midst of all the drama, all the tension, the ups and downs of the political campaign, you really get to see the individuals transform, grow, or sort of fade away. Those seem to be all the options in that process. I think in the tension, the candidates have the opportunity to become the candidate that they truly desire to be and are called to be. And some of them do, and some of them don't. It seems to me the most human dimension of the thing is evident in betrayal, in a sense. At some point, according to this book, this account of the election, almost every candidate, staffer, or advisor is sold down the river by someone. Promises are not kept. Individuals jockey for position. Endorsements are promised, don't happen, and are given to another candidate. And I think all of this provides the opportunity to really test the mettle of each of the candidates. And it's through the testing and through the messiness, the ups and downs, that transformation and growth can occur. Now, Peter, our friend, apostle, disciple of Jesus, close confidant of Jesus, is no stranger to betrayal. He's no stranger to the ups and downs of life in Jesus' inner circle. The gospel lesson we heard this morning is Peter's first kind of one-on-one with Jesus post-resurrection. There have been other resurrection appearances, but this is the first time that Jesus really engages Peter directly. Peter has him aside, and they connect. He finds Peter as Peter has returned to an old way of life. Post-resurrection, Peter isn't out on the road spreading the gospel. Peter has reverted back to his prior way of making a living. He's gone back to fishing. Now, he's not fishing for tarpon or something. This isn't some kind of diversion. He's out there with a net, revisiting his previous way of making a living. What's going on with Peter? Has he given up? Maybe since Jesus hasn't engaged him personally, maybe he feels like his betrayal of Jesus was too much, and Jesus can't or won't call him back in the inner circle. Maybe Peter's just so anxious, having been through everything he's been through, that he needs to do something familiar, even if it's an old way and is not terribly productive. And that's what happens, isn't it? Peter's regression no longer works. As he goes back to his old way of making a living, he can't do it anymore. He's not catching fish until Jesus engages him and provides abundance in the midst of Peter's old way. Maybe that huge catch of fish is a symbol to Peter. Peter, I value you. I love you. And despite the fact that you are in reverse at the moment, I'm here. And that's about to change. Perhaps the great catch signals Peter's worth, but for us it's certainly a symbol of what can happen when Jesus is with you. But it doesn't end there. When Jesus pulls Peter aside and deals with him personally, they engage in that dialogue. 3 times Peter is asked by Jesus, "Do you love me?" And friends, this is a triple reversal of Peter's triple denial. These phrases of love are intended to counteract the 3 times that Peter denied Jesus the night before his death. This triple affirmation of love is Peter's redemption and Peter's acceptance back into the fold. But Jesus will not leave him there. He doesn't just restore him to some sort of prior position, because it's not enough for Jesus. Peter takes the fisherman and says, "Forget that forever, because today I'm making you a shepherd." Now just think about that for a minute. Think about the transformation that's required for Peter for this to happen. A fisherman becoming a shepherd. It's not exactly as if they're related pursuits. Jesus has something brand new and completely different in mind. We have the huge catch of fish that Jesus delivers. The net is the church. And Peter's called now not just to be a catcher of people, but to be a tender of the flock that is now in the net. Peter is called to manage what the Lord provides. It's a huge transformation. To tender of the flock. Peter will be a shepherd, the leader of the shepherds, and all those that will follow after him will be shepherds as well. The message for the disciples here is that when you're in the Lord's service, you don't stay the same. You sign on for one thing, thinking you know what it is, you think you know where you're going, you think you're moving with absolute clarity. But when you're in Jesus' charge, friends, the horizon is unbelievable. The options are incredible. The message for Peter is that Peter the fisherman is being transformed into a more complete role. The role of shepherd. What's the message for us? Well, we're called to follow. We're called because Jesus values us and wants us, as he says at the end of this gospel lesson, to follow him. But the promise this whole text embodies is that as we follow, we're offered a more complete role. The promise is we will be transformed. That we will be God's agents, and God will put us to work as God desires us to work. It's about a comprehensive vision. It's about a new role. It's about life offered us. And it all happens within the context of Jesus' love for us and our love of him.